Hello, everybody. I am Paolo Porelli. I am a sculptor. After my degree in painting from the Academy of Fine Arts in Rome, I felt the necessity to work with three-dimensional forms instead of giving the illusion of volume on two-dimensional surfaces. Clay was the right medium to give shape to my thoughts. I could also keep the color potential of painting with sleep and glazes. I concentrate my attention on anthropomorphic figure as a conceptual metaphor for human behaviors. I have been involved in many projects that have transformed my work technically and aesthetically. The next slides provide an introduction to the evolution of my artistic research and career. Above, the contemporary ceramic sculpture in Italy show at the National Gallery of Modern Art in Rome in 2015, organized by Nino Caruso. I displayed the life-size figure Firebringer and my first large group of figurines that you can see on the left. Below, my first solo show in the United States, entitled Humankind, the Sublime and the Ridiculous, at the Belger Art Center in Kansas City after a residency there. In addition, I would like to mention other art residency I have done in the States, the Clay Studio of Philadelphia, the Bray in Montana, and Kansas State University, plus the latest one at Archie Contemporary in Rhode Island. These works were made during two residencies in 2017 China, where I began to work with press molds, making multiples that were then modified to create new sculptural identities. Above, at Gindergen International Studio, I created this group of metallic idols, glazed porcelain, metallized with physical vapor deposition method. They were shown at the exhibition Contemporary Expressions of Italy at Ceramic Art and Den 2018 in Belgium. Below, 9 new goddesses, unglazed porcelain, an installation produced during the Blanc de Chine International Ceramic Art Award residency in The Hua, enriched using molds abundant in the porcelain factory. The group was shortlisted for the 2019 Taiwan Ceramic Biennial. My Chinese experience also introduced me to working with slip casting as in these works. Left above, camouflage, unglazed porcelain group of figures made in the Hua. They were selected for the second Porcelain Biennial Meissen in 2018 and later always in Germany in the Westerwald Prize 2019. The models in this case were 3D printed using 3D scan images of contemporary figures and modified through the addition of slip-cast elements from the workshop of a Chinese master. Above, right, Divinities and Idols 2018, my solo show at the Hall Contemporary Gallery in Kansas City, curated by Heidemann Art Salon. The sculptures were slip-cast from several molds of vintage figurines. And below, 200 orange Protestant Madonnas made in a residency at EKWC, European Ceramic Works Center in the Netherlands, presented in 2019 at my solo show in Gouda, curated by André Grunewald. An hysterical Madonna was 3D scanned enlarged, and then 3D printed to create the model for the cast. EKVC, European Ceramic Works Center, the 2018-19 3-month residency at EKVC in Oosterwijk has been great experience where I developed several projects, including these large-scale sculptures in the pictures and the figures for the collaborative project with Maurizio Tittarelli Ruboli that was selected for the Premio Faenza. In 2020, I was the winter installation resident at Arch Contemporary in Rhode Island, USA. This is a wall installation from stereotype to the archetype, characterized by an iconography composed of figures of different nature that can almost be identified with the globalized spirit of contemporary human beings. Now, I would like to expand on the collaboration with Maurizio Tittarelli Ruboli and the creation of our work for the Premio Faenza. I first met Maurizio in 2018 at the museum on the site of the workshop founded by his ancestor Paolo Ruboli, who rediscovered and developed the Renaissance luster technique of Piccolpasso. The historic Ruboli workshop in Gualdo Tadino in Umbria was one of the most important production of ceramic lusterware in Italy, contemporary with the international arts and crafts movement. The museum contains a rich collection of lusterworks, molds, and the original kilns. When I asked him to collaborate with me, he proposed a double signature project. We agreed that he would luster my sculptures. The project did not have precise form, but was open to development over time. The only direction that Maurizio gave me was the maximum height of the sculptures and the use of red clay. My residency at the European Ceramic Works Center was the first occasion for me to concentrate on this project. Taking advantage of the possibilities available at the Fab Lab, I looked online for 3D files. I chose two models to 3D print in clay. The picture on the left shows one model in the process of being printed. I then made slip casting molds from the two clay prototypes. This is a group of the sculpture at bone dry stage. Once I have a single figure slip cast from a stereotypical model, I begin the creative process of transforming it with a series of interventions. Cutting, hitting, adding casts of found object or organic material dipped in slip. All of these processes seek to transform the original model into new individual sculptures. Then I brought the bisque sculptures to the Ruboli workshop for Maurizio to fire them. He used the technique of inglaze luster. In this technique, luster is obtained in the second firing. Once the glaze melting point is reached, the firing is interrupted. After waiting for the temperature to drop down to a specific point, flammable material is introduced into the kiln to create a strong reduction atmosphere that produces lusters. The specific glaze formulas are a Ruboli family secret. Maurizio used two variations of luster, gold and ruby red, and never-ending combination of the two. This sculpture in red ruby luster is an homage to Fontana with a vertical cut. It's an emblematic of the significance of the entire installation, to go beyond the surface and enter into an interior dimension. In addition, the 8 on the figure is the symbol of infinity that emphasizes entrance into a timeless atmosphere. This gold luster figure manifests the estrangement effect that I seek to create with my sculptures, removing the figure from conventional reality and providing access to a symbolic perception. This is a piece shows delicate blending of two luster colors. Here I broke the balance and naturalism of the figure, like in a cubist rendering, where space and time are fragmented to create a new compositional rhythm. The influence of art history of all centuries and countries gives my work an eclectic and unpredictable aesthetic. This piece is a metaphorical representation of the excess of consumerism. Much of my work focuses on the most important phenomena of our times, such as production, consumerism, environmental issue, global warming, and energy resources. Once I had the entire group of 33 glazed sculptures, I decided to install the statues on iron wall with movable shelves. After trying many different versions of the composition, I finally opted to display 29 figures along two diagonals, one in ruby red and the other in gold. I was impressed by the aesthetic force of this composition. The title of the installation, Reflex, figure for reflection, plays on the double meaning of the word reflect, both as a reference to the surfaces that reflect and to the mind that reflects on the emblematic figures. This composition recalls the X of reflex, which refers to the perspective of two separate parallel lines that meet at the infinity point. The X becomes a metaphor for the transformation of reality into a metaphysical dimension. Moreover, the X factor identifies itself with the indefinite, the unknown, and the unfigurable as part of the creative process of life.